Don't come tonight. I don't want you here. That's what my mother told me the afternoon of her birthday. I thought she was bluffing. She wasn't. By evening I stood outside the restaurant holding a small golden box, ribbon digging into my palm. Inside was a necklace I couldn't really afford, but still bought, because that's what children do for mothers who never stop demanding proof of love. When I walked in, the family was already gathered. My sister's laugh echoed, brittle and sharp. My brother leaned back in his chair like he owned the place. Aunts, cousins, everyone buzzing with wine and forced cheer. The waiter noticed me first, grabbed an extra chair, and slid it beside the table. I was about to sit when my mother finally looked up. Her eyes were cold, steady. "No," she said, voice loud enough to pierce the chatter. "I don't want you here." The room froze. Forks clinked against porcelain, then silence. My sister smirked. My brother whispered something to his wife that made her snort. An aunt looked away, embarrassed. And my mother? She just raised her glass. "Let's continue," she told the table like nothing had happened. I stayed standing. My throat was dry, my chest tight. The box felt heavier with every heartbeat. For a second I considered throwing it onto the table, letting the ribbon snap, forcing her to see me. But I didn't. I'd learned too well how that game ended. Instead I smiled. Just a thin, brittle smile. Because in that moment, one truth hit me harder than all her words. This wasn't about tonight. This had been building my entire life. My mother's favorite phrase when I was a child was, "Don't upset me." I heard it daily like a rule of survival. Don't talk too loud. Don't argue back. Don't remind her that she had another child besides my sister. My sister could slam doors, scream until the windows rattled, even throw things at me, and Mom would gather her in her arms and whisper, "She's sensitive. Be kind to her." But when I cried, I was dramatic. When I won an award at school, I was arrogant. And when I failed, it was a confirmation of what she always hinted. I was a disappointment. I remember one birthday, mine, not hers. I had scraped together coins for weeks to buy myself a tiny cake from the corner store, because Mom said she didn't have the money. I brought it home proud, candles trembling on top. My sister demanded the first slice. I hesitated. I wanted to blow out my candles, make a wish, cut the cake myself. Mom's eyes cut through me. "Give it to her. You're older. You should understand." So I handed it over. My sister dug in, frosting smearing her face, while I swallowed the lump in my throat. That was my childhood in one scene. Me watching from the sidelines while someone else consumed what little belonged to me. By my teenage years, I had mastered the art of disappearing. Smile when spoken to, apologize when blamed, never make demands. My friends at school thought I was patient, calm. They didn't see the truth. Patience wasn't a virtue in our house. It was a necessity. Because upsetting my mother never ended with her anger at me alone. It spread through the family like a poison. She would tell my brother I was selfish, whisper to my sister that I thought I was better than them. By the end of the week, the whole house turned against me. And so I learned silence. Silence was safer than truth. But silence builds pressure. It doesn't disappear. And sitting there in that restaurant, her words echoing in my head, "I don't want you here." I felt that pressure crack. For the first time in decades, I realized, maybe it was time to stop being silent. Adulthood didn't save me. It just changed the shape of the cage. When bills piled up, I was the one who covered them. When my brother's car broke down, I lent him money. When my sister needed someone to watch her kids, I canceled plans and showed up. First, they acted grateful. But gratitude in my family had an expiration date. Soon, thank you turned into expectation. 1 month of help became 6. A loan became a permanent gift. Babysitting became whole weekends. And my mother? She praised me in public. "We don't know what we'd do without you." But in private, she twisted the knife. "You're lucky you can help," she'd say. "Don't act like a martyr. Family comes first." What she meant was, our family's needs come before your life. And I played my role. The reliable one. The invisible one. The shadow that paid the bills while others took the spotlight. But shadows notice things. Like the way my mother lit up whenever my sister walked in with a new hairstyle. Even if I was sitting right there with a promotion letter in my bag. Or how she defended my brother's temper. "He's just stressed." But if I so much as raised my voice, she called me ungrateful, cruel. The double standards weren't subtle. They were a tradition. 3 years ago I finally cracked. My brother asked me to co-sign another loan. I said no. The silence on the phone was sharp enough to draw blood. Then my mother's voice slid in, cold and precise. I guess money matters more to you than family. I remember sitting in my apartment that night, staring at my ceiling, shaking with fury and shame. It wasn't money I cared about, it was survival. My own future. My right to breathe. And yet, I gave in. I wired him $500 anyway just to stop the storm. Because that's who I was trained to be. The lightning rod. The scapegoat. The one who absorbs the strike so others stay comfortable. But as I stood in that restaurant years later, the golden box heavy in my hand, her rejection ringing in my ears, I knew something had shifted. For once I didn't feel guilty. I felt dangerous. The necklace inside that box wasn't just a piece of jewelry. It was a symbol, though I didn't realize it until later. I had spent hours choosing it. Silver, understated, elegant, exactly her style. The kind of thing she'd brag about to friends, pretending it was her own taste, her own money. I bought it knowing she might sneer. Knowing she might toss it aside the way she'd dismissed so many things I gave her. Still I bought it. Because some part of me, the child part, still thought, maybe this time she'll see me. Now it just sat in my palm, the ribbon cutting into my fingers while she laughed and clinked glasses with everyone else. I stared at the box and in my mind it transformed. It wasn't just a necklace. It was every sacrifice I'd made. Every bill I'd paid. Every hour of sleep I'd lost bailing someone out of trouble. And she was rejecting it all. I could have dropped it on the table and walked out. I almost did. But instead I tightened my grip, smiled and stepped back. Because suddenly an idea took root. If she wanted to pretend I didn't exist, then I would give her exactly what she demanded, but not in the way she expected. I slid the box into my coat pocket and left the restaurant without a word. The cold night air hit me like a slap, but it also felt cleansing. For the first time in years, I wasn't chasing her approval. I wasn't begging for scraps of affection. I was planning. The box wasn't going to be a gift. Not anymore. It was going to be a message. And the message would be this. You can take and take, but from this night on, you will never take from me again. I didn't know it then, but the next time she saw that golden box, it would be the last conversation we'd ever have as mother and child. I didn't sleep that night. The golden box sat on my kitchen table, untouched, glowing faintly under the dim lamp like it was alive. Every time I glanced at it, I saw more than silver and ribbon. I saw years of swallowed anger. Nights I stayed awake calculating how to cover bills that weren't mine. The humiliations I'd endured, mocked, dismissed, excluded, yet still showing up like a loyal pet. And in that sleepless haze, clarity came. This wasn't about one dinner, one insult. It was about a lifetime of erasure. And if I let it slide again, I would die one day with the same weight in my chest I felt now. Forgotten, unloved, invisible. So I decided to end it. Not with a fight. Not with screaming. That was their weapon, not mine. I would use silence, but this time not as submission, as power. The next morning I gathered every bill, every receipt, every payment record tied to my family. Rent transfers, utility payments, school supplies for my nieces, even the $500 wire I'd sent my brother against my better judgment. I spread them across my desk like an exhibit in a trial. And that's exactly what it was, a trial. Years of evidence that I had carried them while they crushed me. I placed the golden box in the center of the pile. It wasn't jewelry anymore. It was the verdict. For hours I rehearsed the words I'd never dared to say. Words that would slice through their excuses, their manipulations. Words that would make even my mother's smug smile falter. By the time I left the apartment that evening, I wasn't trembling anymore. My steps were steady. My hands didn't shake. I was done playing the scapegoat. The next family gathering was 2 days later. A smaller dinner at my mother's house to continue the celebration. I arrived late, deliberately. When I walked in, all eyes turned. My mother opened her mouth, probably to cut me down again. But I didn't let her. I walked straight to the head of the table, set down the golden box on her plate, and said very calmly, "This is everything I ever gave you." The room went silent. And then I pulled out the stack of receipts. The sound of paper hitting the table was louder than I expected. A neat stack of years. My handwriting scrawled on memos, bank stamps, payment confirmations. Every single page a memory of how I'd carried them. My mother blinked, then forced a laugh. "What's this supposed to be?" I didn't answer right away. I let the silence stretch. The kind of silence that used to terrify me. Only now it was theirs to choke on. My sister leaned over, curiosity flickering. My brother frowned. A cousin whispered. I slid one sheet forward. Rent, March 2019. You were 3 months behind. I paid. Another sheet. Utility bills, June 2020. I covered those too. Another. School supplies, August 2021. For your daughter, Karen. My sister's smile faltered. My brother shifted uncomfortably. I kept going. Each page was a nail hammered slowly, methodically. Loan repayment. Car repairs. Grocery bills. Medicine. Finally, I rested my hand on the golden box at the center. And this was supposed to be your birthday gift. My mother's jaw tightened. If this is your way of embarrassing me. No, I cut in steady. This is my way of ending it. The air cracked. It wasn't anger that filled me, it was freedom. The words rolled out sharp, clean, unstoppable. All my life you've taken. You called it family. You called it duty. But it was just control. Every dollar, every favor, every silence, you demanded it. And I gave it. For years. I pushed the box toward her. This is the last thing I'll ever give you. An empty gift. Like all the years you gave me. Her face drained of color. She opened her mouth, but no words came. For once she had no script. My sister muttered. This is dramatic. I turned to her, calm. No. This is documented. I tapped the receipts. Black and white. Not a performance, not a sob story. Just proof. The table was still. Forks untouched. Glasses sweating in the silence. I stood tall, feeling my shoulders lighter than they had in years. I'm done, I said simply. With the bills. With the lies. With this family script where I play the fool. Then I looked my mother in the eye. Happy birthday. And I walked toward the door. No one stopped me. The silence in that dining room followed me out the door like a ghost. But it didn't haunt me, it freed me. For once I wasn't trembling. For once I wasn't apologizing in my head before anyone had even accused me. I got into my car, shut the door, and felt something I hadn't felt in decades. Air in my lungs that actually belonged to me. The buzzing started before I even turned the key. My phone lit up. First my sister. You've ruined Mom's birthday. Hope you're proud. Then my brother. You didn't have to humiliate her like that. We'll never forgive you. And then finally my mother. After all I did for you, this is how you repay me? I laughed. A sharp foreign sound in my own throat. Because I had the evidence still in my bag. All those receipts, all those years, none of them lies. And suddenly I understood what scared them most. Not that I left. Not that I spoke. But that I could prove it. They couldn't rewrite this one. Not anymore. By the next morning, the smear campaign had begun. A cousin messaged me screenshots from the family group chat. My sister was telling everyone I was unstable. That I had fake documents just to get attention. My mother chimed in. We tried everything to help her, but she's always been bitter. But I didn't fight back. Not this time. I didn't rush to defend myself, didn't draft long explanations or beg for understanding. Instead, I opened my bank app and deleted every automatic payment linked to their names. Rent, utilities, streaming services, groceries. Click, click, click. One by one the faucets shut off. I expected guilt to flood me. It didn't. What I felt was relief. That night my phone exploded again. Missed calls. Angry texts. Then one message that nearly made me smile. The electricity just got cut off. Did you do this? Fix it now. I typed back a single word. No. Then I turned off my phone. For the first time in years the silence belonged to me. But I should have known. The storm was only beginning. I should have known they wouldn't stay quiet for long. My family had a talent for rewriting history, and within days they were hard at work. It started with my aunt. She called, voice syrupy sweet. I heard you had a little episode at the dinner. Your poor mother was devastated. Why would you do that on her birthday of all days? I almost laughed. An episode. As if I hadn't laid down years of evidence in black and white. As if my standing up for myself was nothing more than hysteria. By the end of the week, the story had mutated completely. According to them, I was jealous. Ungrateful. A liar who made up documents to turn the family against my mother. My sister claimed I'd photoshopped the receipts. My brother insisted I'd always been unstable. They spun a web so fast it made my head spin. And cousins, uncles, distant relatives, they bought it. Thumbs up emojis in the group chat. Condolences sent to my mother as if she were the victim. But here's the thing about lies. They crack under light. I still had the originals, bank statements, transfer confirmations, official letters. Cold, undeniable truth. I didn't even need to defend myself. I just had to let the truth sit there waiting. Then came the call that shifted everything. Not from my mother. Not from my siblings. From my niece, my sister's daughter. She was only 15. Her voice trembled when she said, "Is it true? That you paid for my school stuff? That mom lied?" I didn't want to drag her into it. She was just a kid, but she was smart enough to see through the cracks. I told her gently, "Yes, I helped. Because I wanted you to have what I never did." Silence. Then a whisper. "I believe you." That's when I realized. My family's lies weren't just about me. They were about protecting their comfort. Protecting the image of a mother who demanded loyalty without ever giving love. And the younger generation, the ones who'd grown up watching the favoritism, the manipulation, they weren't buying it anymore. My mother could spin whatever story she wanted, but the truth had already begun to leak. And truth, once it leaks, has a way of flooding everything. It didn't take long for the pressure to build. My mother couldn't stand being exposed, even partially. Her calls grew sharper, more desperate. When I didn't answer, she showed up at my apartment. I opened the door just enough to see her face. She looked smaller than I remembered, but her eyes, those were the same. Cold, commanding. "Give me the box," she said. No hello, no apology. Just that. I let the chain lock stay between us. "It's empty," I told her. "Just like everything you ever gave me." Her jaw twitched. "You're cruel. Do you know how this makes me look? People are asking questions. Do you enjoy humiliating your own mother?" I felt a strange calm wash over me. Years ago, those words would have shattered me. Now they sounded hollow, rehearsed, like lines from a bad play. "I didn't humiliate you," I said. "You did that yourself. All I did was stop covering for you." Behind her, my sister hovered, arms folded, glaring at me like I'd just committed treason. My brother stood a few steps back, muttering into his phone, pretending he wasn't there. "You think you're better than us?" my sister hissed. "No," I said softly. "I just think I deserve to exist." For a moment, silence. My mother's lips trembled. Not with sorrow, but with rage she couldn't quite spit out. "You'll regret this," she whispered. "Family is family. You can't just cut us out." I closed the door slowly, the chain still between us. Her words buzzed in my ears, but they didn't sting anymore. Because here's the truth she never wanted to admit. Family isn't a license to destroy someone. Family isn't an excuse for cruelty. Family is supposed to mean protection, safety, love. And if it doesn't, then it's just a word people hide behind when they're afraid of consequences. When the door clicked shut, I felt it, not guilt, not fear. Something cleaner. Finality. That night, I placed the golden box back on my table. I didn't open it. I didn't need to. It had already done its job. The next day, I donated it to charity. Let someone else decide what it was worth. Because for me, it had already given the only gift I needed. The end. The days that followed were strangely quiet. No more constant texts. No more guilt-laced calls. Just silence, the kind that used to terrify me but now felt like oxygen. I expected regret to come creeping in at night, but it never did. Instead, I slept better than I had in years. I woke without that knot in my chest, without the weight of someone else's debts pressing me down. The family, of course, carried on their campaign. My sister spread the story that I was unstable. My brother told anyone who would listen that I had betrayed them. My mother posted vague messages online about ungrateful children. But for once, their words didn't own me. They could spin their lies into infinity. I didn't need to correct them anymore. I didn't need to prove anything. The evidence was there, stamped and signed. And more importantly, I was free. One evening, I sat on my balcony with a cup of tea, watching the city lights flicker. My phone buzzed with one last message from my mother. It read, "One day you'll realize family is all you have. And when that day comes, don't bother calling me." I stared at the screen and then I smiled. Because she was wrong. Family is not all you have. Family is supposed to be love, safety, belonging. And when it becomes control, manipulation, and cruelty, then walking away isn't loss. It's survival. I didn't reply. I deleted the message, blocked the number, and set the phone down. The tea was warm, the air crisp. For the first time in decades, I felt light. Untethered. My life wasn't built on their demands anymore. The golden box was gone, but its meaning stayed. An empty gift, yes, but also a reminder that I had finally stopped giving pieces of myself away to people who never wanted me whole. The truth was simple. I didn't lose a family. I lost a cage. And in its place, I gained silence. Sharp, clean, honest silence. The kind you can build a new life in.